Let's begin. But I warn you, this video is not comfortable. It's not gentle, and it's definitely not what you want to hear, but it is exactly what you need. Since you were little, you have been taught that love means clinging, that caring means controlling, that connection requires constant vigilance. But here's what nobody dares to tell you: your fear of losing people is not protecting your relationships, it's suffocating them. No, this is not an attack. It's a truth so uncomfortable that very few dare to name it. The fear of lost lives in your unconscious long after the threat has passed. You have tried to love freely, you have sought security, but security doesn't come when you are still trapped in a war you don't recognize. Do you know which one? The war against impermanence, against the natural flow of life, against a truth that terrifies you more than death itself, that everything you love will one day change. And the worst part of all is that this fear doesn't leave on its own. The attachment complex, that's what psychology calls it. And no, it's not just another label. It's an emotional prison with invisible bars. It's that panic that grips you when someone doesn't text back. It's that desperate need to control outcomes. It's that voice that whispers, if they really loved me, they would never leave. And the cruelest part, it's not even yours. It's an inheritance, an echo, a wound passed down through generations of people who confused love with possession, who mistook fear for protection. You may wonder, how do you heal something like this? Here's where the real work begins. Because as long as you keep seeing people as objects to be kept, as possessions to be secured, you're not loving them, you're imprisoning them. And you know what's worse? That prison becomes your world too. Every decision you make from fear, every relationship you strangle with your need for certainty, every time you choose control over connection, all of that has roots much deeper than you think. Those roots are born in your childhood, in a love that came with conditions, in a security that was never guaranteed, in a world that taught you that loss is the worst thing that can happen to you. But here's the most brutal part. Your fear of losing people is exactly what drives them away. Because nobody wants to be loved like a possession. Nobody wants to be held like a bird in a cage, no matter how golden that cage might be. Tell me something, how many relationships have you suffocated with your need for reassurance? How many times have you pushed people away by trying to pull them closer? There lies the trap. The complex is not only emotional, it's behavioral. It inhabits you, it guides you. And if you don't make it conscious, it turns you into exactly what you fear, alone. The fear of losing people, in Jung's language, is not just about other people. It's an archetype, a symbol. It represents your relationship with impermanence, with trust, with the fundamental uncertainty of existence. But it can also represent suffocation, control, the death of authentic connection. When this archetype isn't integrated, it becomes a shadow you project onto everything. Your partners become potential abandoners. Your friends become flight risks. Your children become extensions of your fear. You expect guarantees that life cannot give, promises that no human can make. But that's not love, it's lack. And lack isn't filled by clutching tighter. It's filled with truth, with acceptance, with the courage to love without guarantees. The first step is to stop making your fear their responsibility. They are not here to manage your anxiety about loss. They are not here to prove their love by sacrificing their freedom. They are not here to be smaller so you can feel safer. That doesn't excuse abandonment, but it explains why authentic people run from desperate love. And by understanding this, something loosens not as forced acceptance, but as liberating awareness. Because clinging is as toxic as abandoning. Both keep you trapped. Both take you away from real love. The reality is this: you don't need guarantees anymore. You need a stronger you, a more trusting you, a more present you. And that version of you doesn't appear by itself. You have to build it. Do you want to know how? Start by observing your fear responses. Every time you feel that panic of potential loss, ask yourself, who? Am I really afraid of losing them, or the part of me that feels worthy only when I'm needed? Every time you demand promises about the future, ask yourself, do I want love, or do I want control? Every time you abandon your own life to monitor theirs, ask yourself, who abandoned me first, them or me? Healing isn't linear. It's not pretty. It's a descent into the terror of uncertainty, an uncomfortable conversation with your deepest fears. It's looking at the memories of every loss, every goodbye, every moment you learned that love meant suffering. But there's something deeper we haven't touched, a darker layer, more hidden but incredibly powerful, the invisible loyalty to suffering. Yes, you heard that right. A loyalty to pain that you didn't choose, but that directs you as if you had a string tied to your soul. Your unconscious believes that if you stop suffering about people leaving, you'll become careless with love. That's how perverse the game is. You made a pact, a silent promise that says, I will worry about everyone I love because that's what love looks like. I will live in fear because that proves I care. But here's the brutal truth. Your fear doesn't protect anyone. Your anxiety doesn't keep people safe. Your control doesn't create security. So why do you keep carrying what doesn't serve love? The real betrayal isn't people leaving your life, it's you leaving your own life to manage theirs. Because if you really love someone, if you really want to honor the connection, then you must understand this. Honoring love means letting it breathe, not suffocating it with your need for certainty. They gave you the gift of their presence, and you must multiply it, not reduce it. You must turn that inherited fear into something new, into trust, into presence, into the kind of love that says, I love you enough to let you be free. And just when you think you've understood, something else appears, something more subtle, harder to detect, emotional self-abandonment. Because what does a child do when they learn that love is conditional, that people leave, that connection is fragile? They adapt. They become hypervigilant. They learn to monitor everyone else's needs while ignoring their own. Have you noticed how you treat yourself when you're afraid of losing someone? How you disappear into their world? How you become what you think they want instead of who you are? That's no coincidence. It's the continuation of the same pattern. No one is abandoning you now. You are the one abandoning yourself in the name of keeping others close. Every time you ignore your own needs to manage their mood, every time you betray your truth to avoid conflict, every time you make yourself small to make them comfortable, you're repeating the same script. If I disappear, maybe they'll stay. So here's the real revolution. Start loving yourself enough to let others love you freely. Be present with your own life instead of living in the shadow of potential loss. Learn to hold your own fear without making it everyone else's problem. And yes, at first it sounds impossible because for years you've been used to the hypervigilance, to the constant monitoring, to the emotional exhaustion of trying to control the uncontrollable. But none of that is love, it's borrowed terror. A system you inherited not because it works, but because it was all you knew. Do you want to break that cycle? Start by asking yourself this. How would I love someone if I truly trusted that what's meant for me cannot be taken away, and what's not meant for me was never mine to keep? The next time that fear appears, don't run from it. Don't try to control it away. Look at it. Ask it. What are you trying to protect? What do you think will happen if I let go? And you will see that beneath the fear of losing people is a deeper fear. The fear of being alone with yourself. The fear of discovering that you are enough. That you don't need to earn love. That you don't need to manage outcomes to be worthy of connection. Because here's the final truth. People don't leave. Because you love them too little, they leave. Because you love them too tightly. They don't abandon you because you're not enough. They pull away because you've made their freedom contingent on your fear. Real love doesn't grip, it flows. Real love doesn't demand, it trusts. Real love doesn't control, it creates space for the other person to choose you every day, not because they have to, but because they want to. And when you get this far, something inside you has already changed. You don't need anyone to confirm it, you feel it. It's that strange peace that comes when you stop fighting reality. It's that power that emerges when you realize you can love without guarantees. What remains now is yours. Your presence, your authenticity, your ability to love without conditions. And here's the most beautiful part. When you stop trying to keep people, you start attracting those who want to stay. So I leave you with this. Love like you're not afraid of losing. Trust trust like you've never been hurt. Be present like this moment is all you have, because it is. If you made it this far, write in the comments, I choose presence over control. Because if you've stayed until the end, you're ready to love without fear. And that, my friend, is the most attractive thing in the world. Now go do something that scares you a little. Tell someone you love them without needing them to say it back. Be yourself without checking if they approve. Give them space without monitoring if they use it to leave. Because when you change the way you love, the world changes the way it loves you back. And if you don't believe it, try it. But do it from there, from the deep place where you no longer need to control love to feel worthy of it. Until then, may your presence be so powerful that people choose to stay not because they have to, but because being around you feels like home.